Hey there, Trekkers. Welcome to the program. Tonight we have a fun show for you. It's our clip show. In anticipation of the launch of Lower Deck Season 3 next week, we will be looking at favorite moments from last season. Now, for those of you who have not yet seen Lower Decks, we present these clips to entice you to watch Season 3. It's a wonderful love letter to all things Star Trek. It's a comedy, be sure, but a comedy that proudly displays its love for Trek. So let's get started. Hit it. Hey, there we go.
Hello, live long
and welcome to the program. How are you, Leo?
I'm doing okay. The weather's a lot less oppressive than it has been in the past.
I was going to say it was actually very pleasant down here in Delaware.
And it was nice here today. It was nicer yesterday. Today was still nice, like a little more humid, but not intolerably so.
Right. I drove around today, and I had the windows open in the car, and it was very pleasant.
So, so that is a relief. We are now about a month and a half out from, we're almost just a month out from fall. Although fall seems to just, like all these seasons, it feels like there's a lot of overlap. It seems like summer sticks around a lot longer.
Oh, no question. Yeah, I will be shocked if all of a sudden it turns into fall and September rolls around and all of a sudden it's 60 degrees and leaves are dropping off the trees. I will be astonished.
Well, it'll be there.
Yeah,
eventually. I do love the fall, as a lot of people do. So
hey, you know what I saw in the news the other day, and people talk about
what's in the news, huh?
Yeah, in the news. What's in the news? Gina says pumpkin spice shit is back.
It's true. I passed by a Krispy Kreme, and they were advertising 3 different kinds of pumpkin style.
It's not a big fan of the pumpkin spice there, Gina. Hey, I guess
I like a pumpkin spice donut, or I'm not a big coffee drinker, so it's not. I'm not having lattes, which are essentially milkshakes, I guess, from what I understand.
Well, depends. I mean, they're coffee for sure. I mean, I remember my first trip to Seattle, I'd never had a latte before. And I'm like, oh, I'm in Seattle, I got to get a latte. And they had Starbucks carts all over the place. And I was just drinking them like coffee. I ended up being so sick. I had to go to the hotel. I lay down for like an hour because I had stomach cramps because I wasn't used to all that espresso.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
no, I was saying in the news, speaking of weather, I saw a report the other day about flooding in Las Vegas. Did you see that?
Yes, I did see that.
Some guy sort of sailing in a floaty down the middle of crazy.
They didn't mention this. I was ready for the eugenics war, but not for the complete climate apocalypse that we are currently enjoying.
Crazy. And what's even crazier is that Las Vegas is not built to stand that much rain. So it's raining in the casinos and stuff. Like water is coming through the light fixtures, and
well,
I don't know.
I don't want to shame any. I've never been to Vegas. It's a place I'd like to visit, although I don't really like gambling. I'm not a big gambler.
Right.
I've been to casinos, and sometimes I play the slots because I'm like, all right, I'll play quarter or nickel slots.
Right. What the heck? Yeah. Right.
Just to sort of kill time. And I'd be like, if I spend like $20, I'm like, if I walk away with I went to a bachelor party, which was at a casino upstate.
I remember that. Yes.
And I walked away with maybe $3 more than I started with. So I kind of felt it was like a net gain. But I didn't really.
You big roller.
Yeah, big. I was I'm not a whale by casino standards. Uh, but anyway, yeah, it is concerning. Also, the Southwest is preparing for a big amount of rain, which is going to cause a lot of flash floods.
Yeah, this is something that I guess was new to me, and I like to try to educate myself as best I can. And I thought of myself as being up on this whole climate change thing, but I never thought of the we have all this oppressive heat.
Yeah,
London is baking, there's all these things, but it also can be about just extreme weather in any type.
absolutely. I mean, the
Yeah,
Rhine is going very low. There's a lot of and then in the desert it's raining. So
right.
up is down, left is right. Cats and dogs
Yeah,
living together. All
I
right.
will say I'd like a little snow this year. I didn't get much snow.
I like snow, and I only say that because I don't have to shovel it.
Right,
I live in an
and neither do
apartment.
I,
Yeah.
because I have a little guy that comes and
In the city, it's all taken
I'm
care
part
of.
of the 1%, I guess. I have a guy who comes and shovels my thing.
Well, it's I've shoveled snow. It is not fun.
Me too. Yeah. And
But
my wife will get out there just to do it because she likes doing it. But I got a little for the kids. I got a little robot snow cat with a plow on it, and you can actually shovel snow with it. It's radio controlled, so they
well,
sit there.
they can they got to start earning their keep.
Exactly.
You know?
Hey, I guess we should get to the
Yeah,
show.
let's talk about Star Trek.
That's why people tuned in.
As we've lost viewers by the handful. So Lower Decks. This is we're going to talk about the second season. Third season starts next week.
Mm-hmm.
It was created by a man by the name, I believe, Mike McCann, who also worked on Rick and Morty. And there's a slight Rick and Morty vibe, especially in the beginning of the first season. Not nearly as grotesque or as vulgar. And I don't say vulgar in a dismissive or I'm not Margaret Dumont in a Marx Brothers film, but it's they don't shy away from the stuff that makes.
Do you think that's why Rick and Morty got a mention in Picard season 2?
Maybe, could be. It's also a very popular show. So,
I know, but yeah.
But Lower Decks is about for those who have not seen the show, about the USS Cerritos. It was a California class ship. Their primary mission is second contact, which means they all the planets the Enterprise and these other great ships visit and then make first contact with. They come back a little bit later, be like, yeah, we've got paperwork.
Right.
And it's sort of like it's kind of like somebody's calling up to like do a survey. Like, how would you rate the Enterprise's first contact?
Yeah.
Above average, average. So in fact, even towards the end of the first season, they revisit the planet from. I'm losing nerd credits. With Landru, the Landru planet,
right?
And the people were starting to listen to it, and they had like all these stickers on it, like "Do not listen to this computer," and there was a picture of Kirk and Spock on it, like with with it admonishing people not to engage with the computer. But it was the animated series version of Kirk and Spock.
Oh, that's great.
Which was a nice little nod.
Yeah.
So they have to do this sort of stuff to, continue. And at the end of the first season, the Pakleds start becoming, if you remember the Pakleds from Next Generation, let me check my notes because I do have some notes about this. Scroll down. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about this before.
It was
where they
Geordi,
came from.
Yeah, Geordi gets kidnapped by these aliens called the Pakleds to work on a ship, and they come off is kind of, they're not going to join Mensa anytime soon.
Right.
So
yeah, it's kind of surprising that they have the intellect to be a spacefaring race.
Somehow they do. And
not particularly intelligent. Yeah.
Oh, because the character of Sonia Gomez, who is an ensign, who shows up first in Q who spills hot chocolate on Captain Picard.
Right. Yes.
Will show up at the end of the second season of Next Generation of Lower Decks.
Okay.
She's now the captain of the Archimedes, and was voiced by Lycia Knapp. It was the same
You know,
actor.
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
same.
that's great. That's awesome.
She has an ensign. Where I'm jumping ahead to wait to the end of the season, but an ensign trips on the bridge in front of her, and she's like, "No, I'm fine." And she's like super embarrassed. She's like, "Don't worry, I've done more embarrassing things about in front of more intimidating officers." So
Right. Now I
you're
get that
fine.
joke. Well, I didn't get that.
But she also helped. It was Samaritan Snare, which was the episode where the Packlands first appeared,
Right.
and she also appeared in that episode, helping Geordie.
Okay.
But she was never seen again. She only appeared in 2 episodes.
Mm.
So the Packlands show up at the end of the first season, and they're kind of like, now they have all this technology. They're like cannibalizing ships and sort of absorb technology, and they're becoming much more of a threat. And they nearly destroyed the Cerritos. But the Titan
Right.
shows up, captained by Will Riker, who comes back and he's voiced by
Jonathan Frakes, obviously.
Jonathan Frakes, of course, and Troy, who is, I believe, the counselor on the ship, is also voiced by Marina Sirtis. So these shows are full of cameos. They get a lot of Star Trek people to come back, even for just like little one-ups. Like,
oh yeah, 1 or 2 lines here or there.
Like,
yeah,
you showed up in a little, like almost like a coda of an episode.
Yeah.
And they got John Delancey to do the voice. He was, and of course it's probably easier as an actor because, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people got audio setups.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But even so, it's easy to do. Like if there's recording in LA, but you're doing a play in New York or in London or what have you, you're shooting a movie somewhere, it's very easy to do it. So it is, it's not making fun of Star Trek, although it does point out some of the absurdities, but in a way that is loving.
Well, it's like I said in the opening. It really is, you could do a comedy spoof about Star Trek, and you could do it in, I don't want to say a mean way, but in a way that doesn't come from the heart, doesn't come from fandom.
Yeah.
And this is clearly coming from fandom. This is yes, this is funny, or that's a great reference, or here's an Easter egg, but it's not, it's just really enjoyable. And if you are a big Star Trek fan, then it's really humor for you, because it really does love the whole genre, and it covers pretty much almost all. They do a lot of TOS humor, but it does cover all the different incarnations of Star Trek.
They do. In this season, they were being visited by Lieutenant Tom Paris.
Yeah.
And Boimler. Let's actually talk a little bit briefly about the 4 main characters. It's called Lower Decks. It's about these 4 ensigns who are serving in the Cerritos. There's Boimler, Brad Ward Boimler, who is very ambitious, but also like maybe ill-equipped to be in Starfleet, at least initially. He gains confidence as the seasons progress.
Right.
But he's also like he's a bit of a brown nose, but in a sincere way. Like he's not a schemer. He
definitely wants to rise in the ranks. He wants to be a captain very much, very badly.
Yeah. And there's Ensign why can't I now all of a sudden I can't remember Mariner, who's also, they're both red shirts, or they're in the command track, and we find out at the end that she is the captain's daughter, Captain Freeman, and she's also been demoted multiple times, and she served on a bunch of ships, and of course she'll be like, I was stationed on Deep Space Nine. They're like, when did that happen? She's like,
she's always pulling something. It's like, some previous assignment out. And but it's funny because while she clearly had a higher rank at some point, she's still very much one of the lower decks people.
Yeah, and I think she definitely enjoys being a lower decker, because she also, in a way, gets away with stuff, because you sort of fly under the radar when you're not under the constant scrutiny of the
sure. And then you have Tindy, who's an Orion.
Who is a medical, she serves with the ship's doctor.
Right.
And she's very bubbly and positive, and she's ambitious, but not ambitious, but she just wants to do good. She's a real overachiever in the sense that and we also find out that she hates it when people don't like her. That becomes
Right.
like a real issue. And in fact, she ruined somebody's ascension to a higher plane in the first season because because she doesn't, like, inadvertently, she doesn't do it deliberately,
Yeah.
but she wants him to like her so much with her, but they find like an accord by the end of the episode.
Sure. And then the
Uh,
fourth one is Rutherford.
Rutherford, who is a cyborg, he's an engineering officer and he's a part cyborg, and it turns out, as we learned, it's Vulcan cybernetics. Because if you look, he's got a pointed ear, a metal pointed ear.
Right.
And a lot gets made of his cybernetics over the course of the series. And he's also like a very upbeat character. And in the first season, he's like transfers to a bunch of different departments. And what's funny is every time he transfers, people are like, "Good, follow your passion." Like he joined security for a while,
Right.
and then the security officer Shax, who's a Bajora, who's this like guy with a crazy scar and whited out
enormous brick shithouse of a guy.
Yeah, he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
They're like, "You gotta follow your passion," And he's like,
yeah.
Nobody's ever mad at him, when he transfers between these departments, which was a nice turn from the usual thing where people get upset and they feel you're betraying them.
Yeah,
they're like, you have to do what.
Well, Rutherford is a really sweet guy. I mean,
he's a very sweet guy, and he and Tendy tend to pair up as Boimler and Mariner.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I forget exactly what happens to him where he loses all his memories, but halfway through season 2, he so much wants to be able to keep his memories of Tendi in case this problem happens again, that he keeps doubling up the storage of his.
He triple backs up.
That's right.
But he keeps getting all these like warnings because he has
and because he's triple backed up all his memories, he keeps getting these error signs that are running in front of his eyes and he can't see properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also get to see Tendi and Mariner team up in this past season, which we hadn't really got to see. They're like, hey, we haven't had a mission together. You're like, that's weird. You think that would have happened, which is a wonderful sort of self-referential moment.
Right.
And so let's talk a little bit about some of these episodes.
Oh, yeah. Because we have clips. We have clips to show.
Episodes, and we have our first clip show. So let's.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna run. Okay, this to me, they sort of go backwards in the way I have them ordered. But this is a later episode. I think it's episode 9. And basically, as a sort of a side joke through the episode, you keep seeing lower decks characters on other ships like Vulcans and Klingons and so on and so forth. And then the end, there's a joke where you see the Borg and they're just all sitting there in their alcoves. But I'm going to run this clip. This is the Vulcan ship.
Yes.
And the Vulcan lower decks.
Would anyone care for a game of chess when we are finished with our second duty shift?
No, I will be composing an arrangement for the loot, which should take several hours.
I am available for chess.
I have detected an anomalous surge of Metreon particles in System 7743.8.
System 7743.8 is beyond our scanning range.
It would be, but I have implemented personal algorithms which increase our long-range sensors.
Talin, your assignment was to monitor tertiary impulse systems.
That is a redundant system. It is logical to improve our scanning capabilities instead of observing non-essential systems.
These readings are within acceptable parameters.
Correct. However, this region has never produced this type of anomalous energy. Does that not seem strange?
Anomalies, by definition, are strange.
Something about this feels off.
Feels off? You have been spoken to about this before, Talin.
It is illogical to ignore something of statistical significance. I must inform the captain.
She has lost all control.
It is a wonderful episode because this character is obviously sort of a bit of a Mariner sort of analog on the Vulcan ship.
Right.
Just showing a little bit of initiative and a little bit of like curiosity is deemed to be like the equivalent of somebody having like a meltdown.
Oh, she gets into all kinds of trouble And the funny part of it is everything she's doing ends up really really sort of being very useful.
Yes. Clips. We
Clips.
got clips.
We got clips. Huzzah!
Thank you, Keith Dickinson.
The
Vulcans
are a hoot. Yes.
You're entirely. I do. It is this wonderful understated moment, and at the end of this episode, her commanding officer is basically saying, like, "I don't believe you belong on the ship." She said,
Right.
"Well, I'll pack my things." She's like, "Hold on, I'm having you reassigned
I'll
to
pack my
Starfleet."
things and go back to Vulcan. That's what she said.
Yeah, she's like, "Go
Yeah.
back." And he said, "Well, I'm having you reassigned to Starfleet. Perhaps your wild outbursts will be more welcome there," or something to that effect. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not the exact quote, but the idea. It's just wonderful. It was just her desires are so low key, and she presents them in such a measured way that everybody is like, she is out of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's
I mean, if I could, I recommend anyone who hasn't seen it to go back and watch that episode. I could have played. They had clips from all different ships, Klingons, and so I could have like loaded the show up with them, but I didn't want to. Just make sure go and check that out. I think it's episode 9.
It is episode 9. There's part of it is on a Klingon ship, and there's a guy who's a little bit like Boimler. Vulcan flirting is really my fave, says Gene.
Yeah. Yeah, that on Strange New Worlds, you certainly saw a lot of that.
Yeah. A lot of implication, a lot of heavy implication. But the Klingon officer who was sort of trying to like advance in rank is very much like Boimler. Is very much like a people pleaser. But
Right.
Not exactly like Boimler, but like a Klingon version of that.
Right.
And it is, in fact, the Klingons. Before we saw the clip, somebody was like about logical. It was like science. He was like, maybe you should cut your hair in bangs and join the Vulcan Science Academy. They're like,
Yeah.
yes, logical. They're like, and they're just like mocking the Vulcans, and then we get to a Vulcan ship. It's a wonderful episode. There isn't an episode this season. I'm a bit like, I guess I've drank the what Scotty would say, it's green in Kool-Aid but I really love this. It is difficult to do a humorous version of something you love, because it can, it either gets too silly or just gets ridiculous, or you're making fun of it. And what's sort of interesting is the characters on the show are kind of like Star Trek fans, because they'll make obscure references that fans would get. But I guess if you are if you're invested in Starfleet lore and Federation, history.
Oh, they know far more about Star Trek than any character living in the universe should know.
Yeah. But
I mean, they're constantly making references to old episodes, which is wonderful. But
talking about getting a new captain and Mariner is like, I don't want a new captain. It'd be like, maybe we'll get some guy with a swagger stick, which is a reference to James B. Sicking's captain. I can't remember the guy. He was the captain of the Excelsior.
Yeah, the Excelsior. Yeah.
He had his little.
Never sit in the captain's chair again, Kirk.
Yeah. He had his little swagger stick, which little mustache. So
all right, so I want to move on to another one.
Yes.
I'm gonna play one more of mine, and then I'm gonna go over to yours.
Okay.
This one, I don't know why this was hysterical to me. The setup for this clip is an efficiency expert has come to the Cerritos to put the whole crew under tests where they go into these, basically it's like miniature versions of a holodeck, and they have to pass these tests, different situations that they have to pass. Boimler ends up in one where he has to deal with the Borg, and that's this clip.
Okay, you know what? That's fine. I've read literally everything about the Borg. I've got this. Wow, the detail on this is amazing!
We are Borg. Resistance is futile.
Whoa, this is so cool! Oh, sorry, please keep going. Do the thing.
We will add your biological distinctiveness to our own. You will be assimilated.
Can't have that. All right, can't adjust the frequency anymore. Yoink!
Yoink!
Yeah!
Mission accomplished.
Oh, yeah! That's right. Boimler's the Borg man.
Your score is 79%.
79? No. I can do better than that. Can I restart?
If you score below passing, you will be locked out.
Yeah. Hit me. Come on, let's go. Come on, Borg baby. This time you're coming with me.
Woohoo! 83%.
I can do better.
Woohoo! 84%.
Do it again. Hit me!
I love that. Borg babies, you're coming with me.
And people forget about that from the first appearance of the Borg.
Right.
Well, not the first appearance. It was the one where I believe it was Best of Both Worlds, where they go over to try to rescue. Was it the first appearance of the Borg? Oh God, now I'm getting confused.
I don't remember, but it was the first time you saw the Borg, and they end up on board a Borg cube.
Yeah.
And they end up discovering a baby in this drawer.
Yeah, which was like horrifying. I mean,
which I don't think they've ever gone with that ever again. The idea that the Borg were growing infants, because just from there on in, it was sort of like an invasion of the body snatchers thing.
It was, although we did see children who had been assimilated in Voyager.
Well, my impression the first time I saw that was that they were artificially generating life. That was my impression. I could have been wrong. But
it's weird. It was never
explained it. Right. Yeah.
But draw for the Borg baby. Mm-hmm. Yes, English is my first language. Clearly.
You are a writer.
I am a writer. I am a master of blah, blah, blah. A drawer full of Borg babies is both hilarious and horrifying.
Right.
And it's again, like all the episodes, really great. The proctor for these exams is this alien first appeared in the episode BEM, Bug-Eyed Monster from the original animated series.
Yeah,
it was a creature could separate into three parts: its legs, its torso, and its head, which would all float around for sci-fi reasons. So, voiced by Lennon Parnham, who is actually an actress I used to know in New York, a very talented.
Oh, cool! Oh, neat.
Who's appeared in a lot of stuff. Just Google her. She's a very much actress.
Yeah,
it was very cool that she got. Like I was like, because I was watching her, and it sounds so familiar. And then I was like, oh yes. But yeah, it's great. They embrace. They've got all these Star Trek toys to play with, and they feel free to use them.
Right. And the I don't know how much we want to tell about these episodes, because if people haven't seen them, we don't want to spoil them for them.
But yeah, no, please watch them. So what do we have coming?
Let's see. Okay, here we go. This is the Anomaly episode.
Oh,
now,
yes.
Yeah, what do they call it? Something Anomaly Day.
It's Anomaly Disposal Day.
Anomaly Disposal Day, right?
No, Anomaly Consolidation Duty. That is what it's called. I looked that up.
Okay, yeah.
And it's where the lower decks officers are tasked with going around to the senior officers' quarters and collecting all the weird stuff they've picked up on away missions.
That can't just be disposed of by throwing them in the bin, basically.
Yeah, but a lot of these things are dangerous, as we'll see,
right.
And you would think there is an impulse. You think, well, if I was on the planet, I might take a souvenir from these,
right.
But they clearly did it without any thought that maybe this is something that would be best left behind.
Right. And they start with the first officer's quarters, I think.
Oh yes, yes.
What's his name again? An R.
Oh. I look like the worst Star Trek.
She says it, so we'll hear it.
Yes.
All right, hang on.
He's always going on fun away missions. You just know he'll have crazy anomalies we can check out.
Oh, great. A pile of unlabeled crystals. You're supposed to keep stuff like this in a lab.
Ignoring protocol. Yeah, one of the perks of being a commander.
Oh, man! Ooh, Ooh, this is neat. You can tell from the occipital bone that this was one big froggy.
Tindy, whoa, easy. I think that's from the planet where everything evolved all weird.
Whoa, Rutherford, you're blowing up!
It's altering his biomatrix.
I got a barrel body.
Stop moving around!
I can't stop a big beyond belief. Oh, no.
Tindy, grab the red vial!
Got it.
Smear that crap on his nose!
You just experienced full molecular engorgement in a matter of seconds. Did it feel amazing? Okay, let's see what the next awesome anomalies are. Boimler? You look amazing!
Thank you. The red shirts gave me a makeover. I might have a shot at acting captain.
Whoa, is that a Retruvian flask?
You know it.
Careful, those can release a gelatinous spray that traps you in this...
Yeah, we know.
Sort of an interesting turnaround in that episode because usually Boimler's the one who has terrible things happen to him.
Right.
But he's sort of played hooky with a group called the Red Shirts, ironically, who are all like bucking to become captains.
Yeah.
And they say, well, we call ourselves the Red Shirts. And he's like, of course, we're old school Star Trek fans. The Red Shirts were the guys who got killed.
Yeah, right.
Because he was usually some security guard who would be like, Captain, over here, and then be disintegrated or exposed to a gas which would kill them. Tindy's having way too much fun. I think she's having the appropriate amount of fun.
Yes, well, and that's part of the humor of that episode is they start all getting this assignment together, and it's Mariner who is really pissed off that she has to do it.
Yeah,
and everything bad happens to Mariner as they're going through it. Yeah.
So, but it's again, I don't want to spoil too much of it.
Right.
But they're very much. They will do these little throwaway gags. You know, like we had like a little this sort of like string of like mishaps that happened mostly to Mariner.
Did you get the joke about this looks like a really big frog? I didn't get that.
I'm not sure if that is I don't know if that's a joke or it's just sort of an odd, like it's just like her being super, into the.
It felt like an Easter egg to me, but I didn't know what it was. So
if it is, if anybody watching,
anybody knows what it is, let us know.
Let us know, please. Yes, but
yeah.
And we have one more clip, I believe.
We do, and this also was an episode I like. Now, you might want to put the kids to bed because there is a bare bum in this episode. But this one, I didn't get this when I first saw the episode. But okay, you're gonna have to say the name again. Blippus. What's his name?
Phillips.
Bilbus.
Phillips.
Billip. Okay.
Bill, like you pay your bill and ups like
Billups.
Down.
There we go. Okay. Billups, who is he the chief engineer?
Yes.
Yeah. Chief engineer on the ship. Now, realize there are upper decks characters that you know. You know the captain, you know the first officer, you know the chief engineer, you know the head of security. So you do see upper decks characters in this show. It's just that it's focused on the lower decks.
Yeah.
But at any rate, apparently this was sort of a Diana Troy send-up in the sense that he has a mother who's the queen of a planet. And I didn't get this the first time I saw it, but it's a planet that was founded by Ren Fair people.
As described, and they're like these aliens that look like dragons. These alien animals look like dragons, so they really lean in hard to the whole sort of fantasy. Thing.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you'll see in the clip somebody attacks somebody. He's like a bard.
Yes,
and he attacks him with his sonic lute or whatever.
And,
all right, let me run the clip and then we can talk about it afterwards. Oh, to set this up. So something has. The whole idea is that the chief engineer can only become king if he loses his virginity. And once he loses his virginity,
Yes.
he has to leave Starfleet and become king.
Yes.
And his mom, who's the queen, is always trying to get this to happen in some
Yeah.
way or another, I guess. So that's sort of the setup. But he goes over to the ship to fix it because there's a problem with the engine.
Yeah.
And he's really happy because his mom seems to respect the fact that all of a sudden that he's a chief engineer and he can fix the ship.
And that he loves what he does.
And that he loves what he does. Exactly. But then there's an explosion on the ship. And Tendi thinks that Rutherford, who went there to help him, has died. And there's a whole bunch of drama. And then she's walking along and discovers this.
The Borg.
Okay.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry.
Rutherford?
Hey, Tindy! You here for the feast?
You're alive!
Huh? Of course I'm alive.
What about the explosion?
Wait, what explosion? The Queen transported me here for the celebration feast because I did such a good job.
Raise a glass to King Anderithio, who at this very moment is destroying his virginity.
What? No! Billups loves his virginity. I mean, he loves being an engineer. He doesn't want to be a king.
I don't care what he wants. He shouldn't be wasting his life twiddling around on a dinky spaceship.
It was all a scam!
We've got to board Billups! Lucky car? Yeah, I've got to stop Billups from doing the do!
You're too late! My royal guards are trained from birth to skip foreplay.
Your stash is so regal.
On my way, horse! Huh? Where's Billups? Did his kingdom come?
Bathroom.
Come on. You got this. You're king. Ensign? Sir, I'm alive. It was one of your mom's tricks. You don't have to do sex. What? Was I too late? No, I needed more time to warm up. This prince remains dry. Yeah.
Little racier clip than we would normally have on the show, but
it is an adult. This is not for children.
No.
It's not like I said. It's not quite Rick and Morty, but it is.
Yeah.
Like they are adults. And it's funny you mentioned. I never thought of it in terms of Lwaxana Troy, but there is a bit of Lwaxana Troy in her.
Well, just because her mother's always trying to get her away to do something.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, it reminded me of that, because her mom's always, their mom wants her to get married at one point, doesn't she? And
yeah, well, there was also the episode where
she wants to get married. And I mean, there's always a lot of, but anytime Lwaxana shows up, it causes havoc on the ship. Absolutely. And it causes havoc for her. And that's what this relationship reminds me.
It does have that element to it.
Yeah.
And I suspect we will see these characters again. And it was,
yes, Angela. Trained to skip foreplay.
That sounds kind of terrible.
No, it sure does, doesn't it?
But I'm gonna have to respect their customs, even if I don't enjoy them.
Yeah.
But yes, I really loved it, and in fact, there was an episode where a collector. If you remember the episode where data was collected,
yes.
Apparently there's a whole subculture of collectors, and the Cerritos is asked to aid in sort of going through everything, on this ship.
Yeah, I should have grabbed a clip from that one too. It was funny. I just couldn't find it.
But there's so many. I have a whole list of these little. They're all Easter eggs, like stuff that's like on the walls.
Well, the collector thing is a great episode for Easter eggs because they're on board this guy's ship who's died, who was a collector, and they're supposed to be sorting through this stuff. Yeah. And just in the background, there's just all kinds of things from previous Star Trek episodes in this guy's collection, including the giant Spock.
Yes, from
the skeleton of the giant Spock from the animated series.
And the game, if you remember that episode where everybody in the Enterprise was playing that really lame video game, which looks
right, yeah.
didn't look that interesting back then, I have to confess. But, you know, we didn't have time to build a whole video game. But I guess there was a hypnotic quality to it. They had a baseball bat and ball, which is maybe a Deep Space Nine reference.
Right.
They had Marty McFly's shoes for some reason. A Terran Empire
Well,
flag.
you don't think that's a Rick and Morty thing?
Could be. That might be a double joke.
A double joke for Rick and Morty? Yeah.
Khan's necklace from Wrath of Khan.
Right.
Valiant flight recorder from Where No Man Has Gone Before. They had a gold TOS uniform. A giant pink tribble for More Tribbles, More Troubles from the animated series. They had a stuffed salt vampire who was also Trelane had one.
Trelane, that's right. Trelane had one. Although he zaps it.
We saw a Vulcan Lurpa.
Yeah.
Klingon Batleth and Dorian dueling weapon. A shark in a tank. Mars rover. The Kadis Kot game, which is the game that I believe that Tuvok played, the Vulcan sort of puzzle game.
Yes.
Crate of Chateau Picard wine.
Oh, I remember that one. That was one of the first ones I saw, actually, when I watched that episode.
The Trident scanner, if you remember, it's like this thing with 3 prongs at the end that Scotty would use in the original scene.
Yep.
And there's...
I think they use that in... is that a prop that they use in More Trouble with Tribbles?
Maybe.
Or Tribbles and Tribulations?
Could be.
I feel like that's...
I recognize that prop very much, but I can't place where it is.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a new sort of thing, which was Collis's fornication helmet, which has a lot of spikes on it, which tells you a lot about Kalis.
Yeah.
His sexual.
Well, and the Kalis's fornication helm ends up being a big part of it.
Yeah, because this other collector who had hired them to go through this stuff is trying to steal it, which for the defenses, and they have to get out. And they're trapped with a diorama with Abe Lincoln and the Excalbians, if you remember that one. Spock, help me, Spock.
Yeah.
And they use the Escalpian bones, which have a property that allowed it to heat it up, allowed them to get into the ducts and get to the escape hatches, which was fun. So much stuff in there. It was wonderful. This series is starting in a week, literally in a week.
Literally, it will drop 3 a.m. next Thursday, I assume.
Next Wednesday,
they all drop 3 a.m.
And
we will be here to usher it into the universe. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, they did end in a cliffhanger.
Yes,
where the captain is being arrested for destruction of the Pakled planet. The Pakleds, as we discussed, were sort of this ongoing threat through the end of the first season, throughout the second season. Wrongly accused because she thinks she's going to get a promotion.
Right. And somebody tells her that. It's her husband.
Mariner overhears her talking about it because she's like that she wanted to bring a bridge crew. They're like, well, Starfleet doesn't want to take whole crews off California class ships,
right.
Which may be a slight bit of shade on the California class.
Yeah.
And of course, Mariner blows the news to her bridge crew, who are all upset, especially when they find out they're not going to be taken with.
Yeah, because they're not going to go. Yeah. But she was talking with. That's another thing which we didn't mention. The Freemans have a long involvement in Starfleet because Captain Freeman's husband is an admiral.
Yeah.
So Mariner's dad is also, I guess it's her dad, I assume.
It's her dad. Yeah.
Is an admiral. And I think that's who she's hearing it from, isn't it? That she's going to get promoted.
Yeah, it's her and Captain Gomez, who we mentioned before, who was the captain of the Archimedes, and Cerritos is backing them up for first contact.
Right.
And of course, things go sort of sideways, and this opening of a bit of a spoiler for the opening of the third season is they're going to try to steal the Cerritos.
That's what it looks like in the trailer.
And I don't think it's going to get all resolved in one episode. I think.
No, I don't think so. It looks like that might be 1 or 2 episodes as an arc, but which is unusual for this show because they don't really.
But they
have a loose thread, but it's not like
at the end of the first season, Boimler is promoted to Lieutenant JG and is assigned to the Titan, captained by Riker, and he's at the end of the first episode. They're like, "Oh, Boimler must be having the time of his life," and they're like right outside like a singularity, and Riker's like throwing orders, and Boimler's screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
And in the next episode, he goes on this away mission, and he, at the end of the episode, much like Thomas Riker, the transporter clone, you get a transporter clone of Riker, of Boimler.
Yeah.
And the transporter clone stays on the Titan because Starfleet, they think it's too complicated to have 2 of the same people. And Boimler gets voted back.
But it is funny because you get the impression that even though sometimes he's a little in over his head.
Yeah.
Well, because you do see him on the Titan, which is kind of fun because you get to see the Riker and you get to see that crew, and they're all like people of action. The Titan's like all it does is combat and action and rescuing people, and it's all just total action. And but he seems like he's starting to fit into that.
Yeah.
And he's got like a little group of people that he's kind of become friends with. They've kind of taken him under their wing and they drag him along on these missions.
So well, I'll be curious to see if the Titan and Will Boimler, because his middle name is
William. He took the name William. Yeah.
So we'll see if they show up again. That would be great.
The other thing I want to see in season 3 is: are we going to see the Vulcan that gets sent to Starfleet?
We are. I don't think she's going to be assigned to the Cerritos. That's what I've read. But we will see her again.
Cool.
And I'm curious.
I'm kind of hoping we see all of those characters.
I would like to
Klingon and
that Klingon who went from a lower decker to the captain of the Klingon ship. Spoilers. The captain was supplying weapons to the Pakleds and basically trying to destroy the Klingon Federation alliance because we lost our way. We were warriors. And I hope we see him again. It'll be curious. I'm very curious. I'm so excited. And I feel like these episodes are, half hour or thereabouts.
Yeah.
But they pack in a lot. The pace is always like, sometimes you watch a show and you're like, wow, this pace is really measured, especially older TV shows.
Right.
These shows move along. They cram a lot in there. And they're definitely worth watching twice.
Oh, yeah. Especially because they are loaded with Easter eggs and things that you might not miss at first glance. But or might not see. I should say.
So I think we basically covered it.
I think we're going to get out of here a little early. But I'm very excited about next week. And this will be next week will be the first episode of our season on Lower Decks.
Yes.
The way I'm sort of structuring this, and Leo and I are structuring this, so we have a season of Strange New Worlds edition. We have a season of Lower Decks edition, and then when they come back next year, we'll be on season 2. So hopefully, if we're still here.
Hopefully we're still here, and I think Discovery should be coming back later this year.
That's what I'm not sure what the next is in the queue after this.
One has been very cagey about the release dates.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I suspect there may be a gap in between the end of Lower Decks and the beginning of Discovery, but we'll find out.
But we got 10 weeks of this, right?
Yep.
So we're going to have a lot of fun over the next 10 weeks. Make sure you join us.
Please do.
Next week. And until then, have a fantastic week. Live long and prosper. We will see you later as soon as my mouse comes to life. There we go.
There you go.
Snoopy. It was the only animation mug I had. Oh, George couldn't make it. He's going to try next week.